Hey guys, it's an exciting day. We're back, and you can see behind me we've got the spray foam insulators here today, and so they're already over here working on the main house crawl space. They're getting that knocked out first, and they're going to be here for the next couple of days doing insulation. So we're not allowed to be in either place while they're doing it, and then for 24 hours after they're done. So we're camping out tonight in the backyard, but we'll just go in real quick before they start on the barn, and we'll just have a look around, and I'll show you. We had to tape some stuff off and whatever, but anyway, we'll give you a little bit of footage. I'll maybe try to throw some drone footage in here, but it should be a pretty short update video, so enjoy. So here we are inside. We've had to come in and tape off all the windows, and we've cleaned up everything. So I don't know, you guys have seen before, but it's been pretty messy. Otherwise, we've got all the tools and stuff out in the shop trailer, the stock trailer, and so we have things like the fireplace is taped off, masked off, I should say. But all the electrical and everything's all done, and we're ready for insulation. So what we're doing is the crawl space. So you guys know we're doing the encapsulated crawl space, and we're gonna do 2 inches of foam on the stem walls in the crawl space. And then we're doing 3 inches of foam in the exterior walls. And then up on the ceiling in the rafters, we're doing 4 inches of foam. So it's about R7 per inch, approximately. They had us go around and tape off the electrical outlets, I guess to prevent overspray from getting in to the boxes, and they did have to come back at one point to respray some stuff when we had already taken some outlet tape off, and they were able to avoid them. So I don't know if that was just something to keep them from having to care or pay attention, or if they actually really needed that. I mean, when they first asked for it, it made it sound like kind of a just in case we overlook it and we spray right in the box, but so maybe that was it. So up top here in the attic, we've had to tape off all of the exposed beams because the spray foam splatters around a bit. But we've also, it looks like it used to look with that OSB up there. That's basically scaffolding. So we put that up and screwed it to the top of the beams so that we could do electrical. The spray foamers are gonna use it, and then we also use it when we start putting finishes on and stuff like that. So pretty exciting day. This is exciting for progress. Not exciting for the pocketbook. This is probably the single most expensive thing that we're doing on the barn build of everything we've done, but it's the one thing that will pay for itself over the long run with energy costs. The air sealing alone is substantial, and we're putting as much R value in the ceiling as we can, and code is like 48 or 50 R value that you're supposed to put in your attic with blow-in, but you know, some of the spray foam guys I talked to, I think, so this is Koala Insulation out of Boise. So Lucas from Koala Insulation, he said they can do calculations that show the efficiency with the air seal that's actually better than what you get with standard
fiberglass bat insulation, just prevents the airflow and the seal, and so much more efficient. So hopefully we'll see those gains over the long term with our energy bills and stuff like that. So and again, since we have the old shake shingles on the lid of the barn here, pretty important to air seal that. There's no way with regular foam insulation that we'd be able to keep, the bugs and the air from passing through. So there's still a nice breeze that goes up under the metal siding or the metal roofing, but this will keep the air seal from the air from leaking in and penetrating into the building. So not only is it the single most expensive thing we've done, it's also probably the best investment that we're doing in this barn for the long term as well. So we've done a walkthrough with the guys. There's some areas here that are obviously going to be tough to foam. So there might be some stuff that we have to do with some DIY kits or something like that. They have their gun on their rig is pretty large, and so to get it into small spaces is pretty tough for them. So we've talked about some of those areas, but for the most part, they were really happy with the prep that we've done, and they were excited to get going this morning when they got here. So it'll be nice to have this all done. Last winter we worked in here, we had our propane fireplaces going, and you almost couldn't notice it, especially up here on the second floor because of the air and no insulation. Basically all the heat just goes right out the top. So it would take the edge off, but unless you were standing right in front of the fireplace, it didn't do anything. So it'll be nice not to just blow all that heat out, but also to have the conditioned space to work in. And then also it'll allow us to start tempering or conditioning some of our wood that we're going to be putting up. So some of our walls will have, like a tongue and groove, knotty pine kind of a thing to them, some shiplap maybe, but that all will be able to be tempered in here before we install it so that we don't get any shrinking or expansion, after the stuff's installed. So once the foam goes in, we don't really have a way until we get all of our mini splits in and we get the walls covered so that we can install those, but we don't have a way to cool it. But we have the propane fireplaces to heat. And so we're getting here, we're early September, we're starting to get some cool nights, which is really nice. But hopefully we won't have to do any cooling, and we can just rely on the heat and keep the air dry that way so that we're conditioning all of our wood that we're going to be putting in here. And I think I mentioned it before, so we put all these beams in, and they've been in here for a couple of years now, but we have had some twisting and warping. Nothing that's a super big deal, no structural issues or anything like that. But just, unfortunate. That's just how it goes when you take forever to get a project complete. So that'll pretty much come to a stop, and we don't really mind it too much because it is an old barn, and so having some timbers that are a little bit twisted or warped or something like that is no big deal. But anyway, we'll get out of here. We'll get you a little bit more footage, and I'll also bring you back in once we're allowed to come back in, and I'll get a good shot of the finished product. So we'll catch you in a couple days probably. All right, guys. So true to Black Horse Ranch style. Of course, you saw the previous video footage that we got where the guys were here doing the installation. Here's our follow-up, and we are months later. So that's just how we are. It's true and typical of us. Life gets in the way. We'd expected to try to have, we had a goal of having the barn wrapped up this Christmas. And we're in January now, but we usually have a bunch of family come up for Christmas, and we rent out a guest house, and we were gonna hope to have all that up here at the barn this year, but that didn't happen. And you guys know, if you've been watching this, this has taken us a long time, and life is life, so we've been dealing with it as best we can. But here's the footage of the installation after the fact. I'll walk you around. You can probably, hopefully my video is not too jiggly. My equipment is at our church. You see my microphone here clipped to my hat. I don't have all my normal stuff because I was doing some videoing for our church. So here we are. I'm going to take you around and show you what we've been doing for insulation. The spray foam stuff, and I'll just narrate as we walk around a little bit. And then we've actually gotten a bit further progress. The barn's a mess again since we've been working in here again. So we're kind of past insulation and moving on to other things, but I'll show you, like I promised, some of the after footage, and let you in on a little bit of the stuff that happened with the spray foam. So all of our exterior walls were foamed. So that's what you see here. We've got all of our drywall. And so we've started hanging that. And we also did our interior insulation. So we've just got a couple of spots for interior insulation that we need to touch up. But basically, everything is all done and in. We're using Rockwool Safe N Sound. So that's if you're not familiar with that, that's a mineral wool it's made of basically rocks and metal slag, and it's a lot easier to work with than fiberglass, and it's stiff, so it goes in the base pretty good. Pretty good product, pretty happy with it. And so anyway, here's all of our foam in the exterior walls. And just one area of detail that we have to pay attention to. So I think I mentioned the interior insulation is just for sound. We want all the rooms to be quiet and everything. So all of the interior walls and floors are insulated with the Rockwool Safe N Sound. And they don't actually, Rockwool doesn't actually rate their product R value. The Safe N Sound, it's basically a fireproof and sound absorption product, and they don't give it an R value. But I've read it's somewhere in the R20 to 25 range. So not that we're trying to get any R value out of this. One area you got to pay attention to when you do the spray foam for sound insulation. If we do the bays and the walls, that's one thing, but sound can sneak behind. Normally if you fill your bay with fiberglass, these gaps between where the interior wall meets the exterior wall, those are covered with fiberglass insulation. So just you gotta pack some corners where the floor transitions. Again, this is balloon framing up to the second floor. So we've got the transitions all filled with rock wool there in the gaps. So anyway, it's getting dark in here because we're getting all the interior walls insulated and we don't have lights turned on yet. Here's the bathroom. So there's no windows in the bathroom, so this is all just ambient light spilling in through this interior wall that we haven't insulated yet. And I'm just leaving this done, or this open. I'm trying to nail down
some shower issues, dimensions that that may cause me to move some of these drains a little bit. So that's why we haven't finished this insulation yet. And then I took that one out because I sheetrocked over a clean out and I had to figure out where that pipe was going. But anyway, there's all the foam. We've got the shower nook framed in there for soap and shampoo and whatever. We did go through and put all of our interior wall blocking in. So this is a really good idea if you're doing your own stuff. Our current house that we live in right now had no blocking in it, and so you got to put your toilet paper hanger up, or a towel rod, or on this side we have mirror and possibly hand towels. I'm trying to think what those were for. Anyway, we went through, Hillary and I went through, and those ones that are marked 6 inch or 6 feet there and 42 inches, those are for towel racks. So anyway, we went through and put in a bunch of blocking because that's the way I learned it when I was in construction. But the current house we live in has none of that. And so if somebody bumps a towel rack or pulls a towel too hard, the stuff just pulls right out of the sheetrock because nothing's put into studs. So one area that's kind of unfortunate is the electrical panel. So that takes up most of the space in the wall, and they can't spray foam behind that. And so we filled it with insulation as best we could. And then I also have this panel back here for future. Same thing. And we have to finish that off before we cover the wall, but we're going to have to stuff some insulation behind that. Spray foam insulation is a mess. It's a huge mess. So you want to make sure to have everything taped off and covered really well. It sticks to the floors and everything. Another thing I guess I wanted to mention is so it's winter now. We just had a big snowstorm roll through, and we have this one fireplace that's a propane fireplace, and I have it wired to that thermostat that's on the wall over there. And so it's set at 64, and you can tell right now it's not on. So we're mid-afternoon right now. No sunshine to speak of. Don't know if you can see this, but we have another snowstorm rolling in for tonight. So that's on the way. But this keeps it at 64. So the spray foam is doing a really good job. The only thing I haven't finished yet is I need to finish this front door. There's no weather stripping on the bottom. And then I do have a slight warp that I'm going to try to take out of there. And then I got to put the real windows in, the double pane windows that we have, and weather seal those. So this door is kind of a leaky spot. But even with that, the foam does a really good job. Really good job. So we'll head up here now. Again, here's the upstairs bathroom. And I don't know if you can tell the sound difference. So I'm going to come back down here. And it's so quiet. It's really quiet. And then I'm going to go upstairs where all we have is the spray foam and just the bathroom wall insulated. And you can see, or you can hear, the echoing. So that Rockwool really does a good job. And so we did have a little bit of issues with some of the quality
on the spray foam. And the guys that came and sprayed were awesome. And the owner of the company was awesome as well. And they just, they had to travel for this job, and they tried to squeeze it all into 2 days. And they missed some spots, and they didn't clean up some spots. But the owner was really good, and he sent his crew right back out the next week, and they came out and they fixed everything. So kudos to those guys. They don't always, it's hard to find a company that'll do that kind of stuff. And so if you're interested, that was Koala Insulation out of Boise. You know, that kind of stuff happens, and you know, like the owner said, they try to avoid that, but sometimes it happens, and so they just want to make sure they take care of it, and they did. And I mentioned in the earlier video that you guys saw before this, there are spots that they had trouble getting to. One thing to keep in mind if you're going to have spray foam is how you frame, and you know, what kind of nooks and crannies you have. So one of the spots that they had trouble getting was up on top of these beams. And so we went around to a lot of them and filled them with can foam, which isn't as good. Can foam is, it's I think it's like R3 per inch, and it's open cell. So not quite as good. It's like half the R value of the actual spray foam, but it still air seals, which is a huge thing. So when we're working up here, so we have no heat up here. We have that fireplace down there. We can turn it on if we want to, but usually when we come in here on these cold winter days, we actually start sweating when we work in here at 64 degrees. So that one fireplace downstairs is keeping the whole barn warm with this spray foam. And so really we've only got like we have 4 inches of foam in the ceiling, which is R28. And we're getting this kind of performance out of R28. Another thing that putting the foam in really does is I was able to walk around and I could just put my hand up, like this spot right here. I could feel air coming in right there because everything else is sealed so well, and it made it an obvious place for me to know I needed to put some of the can foam. We have that one duct that's going to be in the wall, so that's a spot that will have thin insulation, but that kind of stuff, that's what you get when you have some project like this that's old. You know, you're dealing with a lot of existing stuff. So anyway, very happy with the spray foam. Very happy with the Rockwool. We'll go back down and take a look at some of that drywall, which is what we're doing right now. So we started upstairs with the drywall. And so here's the kitchen and the pantry. A lot of weird angles, so it's been kind of a slow process. This area up here is going to be behind the range hood, and we're doing a custom range hood that we're building. So we still have the makeup air duct that comes down through that floor, and then that's the exhaust duct there, but that'll all be covered up when we get the range hood built. But lots of weird angles and places, and we'll definitely be using some trim. This pantry on the inside was weird angles, plus we're dealing with walls and framing from the old barn that don't quite line up, so that duct will be wrapped. And then this being the dining room down here, that end wall is going to be knotty pine. And then we got the bathroom walls done. Little piece up there still needs to go in. And these walls are slightly higher than 8 feet, and so that's why there's that little piece of drywall up at the top. And then this bathroom's really dark, but you walk in and it's instantly quiet. So this is the next order of business, to start getting these walls all rocked out. So we have a little bit of Rockwool left. There's a couple of bags up here, and then you saw the ones downstairs. So we are also going to put Rockwool in the floor, basically in the crawl space of the first floor. And that's just for sound again. And then also, since our bathroom will have a heated tile floor, that'll help keep the heat inside the bathroom instead of going down into the crawl space, which it's a conditioned crawl space, so we don't really care if it goes down there, but we don't want to heat the crawl space when we're trying to heat the bathroom. Oh, I guess one other thing. So we have these pieces of plywood here. Those are actually leftover foundation wall forms. So that's 3/4 inch plywood, and that goes up here above the fire, around the fireplace, and then that's going to be stone there. So, which I think we've told you guys that before. So thanks for tuning in again. We're going to keep them coming. Thanks for hanging in there and watching them. Hopefully we'll get this thing wrapped up this year. I do start a different job at the end of the month, and it's going to be more hours. So again, that's life. So we'll just keep plugging away at it. I appreciate you guys watching, and I know we're going to be happy to get this thing done. So take care. We'll see you next time.